Indiana gives us the greatest gift of all, Game 7. The Pacers refuse to go quietly into that dark night. Are the Thunder about to enter the find out phase? The NBA draft is next week, and the Sixers will decide just how chaotic the first round is. That's all today on Locked On NBA.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On NBA. Thanks so much for making us your first listen of the day. We are free. We are available wherever you get your podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Doug Branson, host of Locked On Hornets and your Shot Clock Sherpa, guiding you through the NBA's biggest stories with the help of Locked On's local experts. And we're doing it every day, and I have two of the best with me as always. From the Locked On Nuggets podcast and senior NBA writer for the Action Network, it's Matt Moore. Matt, what a game.
I need somebody to make like a 70s supercut of the Indiana Pacers in the style of a heist movie. Like they just keep like absolutely every time you think I'd love to see the Pacers wiggle their way out of this one. They wiggle their way out. Nonetheless.
Yeah, it's the scene from Austin Powers, the original one. Why won't you die? They just won't go away. From the Locked On Bulls podcast, we've got Haize. What do the Thunder have to do to make them finally go away?
Beat them Game 7. That's what they're gonna have to do. That's the only thing left. And I don't know. Well, we'll talk about it.
All right. A lot of people are asking how this morning. How did the Pacers do it again with an injured star against OK's defense? How? Tony East, Locked On Pacers. How?
The little things. In fact, today's win dates back to Game 4. Pacers drop that game, choke it away. And after that game, they said, we did the little things so bad to close that game. We got to get better at the little things. In Game 5, they were not better at the little things. Everything they did bad in Game 5 that was an important little thing, they flipped on its head in Game 6. The biggest little thing, the whole series, the possession battle, 10 turnovers for the Pacers in this game. And they forced 21 turnovers from the Thunder, 8 from SGA, 13 from the rest of the team. Brilliant defensive adjustment, if you want to call it that, by the Pacers, who did an awesome job of when SGA or J-Dub would get below the foul line, would send a second player for defense, get all over him, force that player to either make a pass or try to dribble to get more open. That extra dribble led to a lot of swipes or a lot of poor passes that the Pacers were more than able to swallow up and turn into huge plays, including the highlight of the finals, sans Tyrese Haliburton buzzer beater, obviously. The traditional highlight, I would say, of the finals of the Tyrese Haliburton steal into no-look pass to Pascal Siakam, who posters a Thunder defender. Unbelievable play. Building explodes.
It was an absolutely incredible play. I don't even think slow motion did it justice. It needed slow motion. I just don't want this series to end. Matt, what happened in this one? Did the Pacers force this Game 7, or did OKC allow Game 7?
The Pacers forced Game 7. We're going to hear from Styles here in a little bit, who thinks that it was all about, basically the Thunder didn't try, which is absurd. The Pacers took this game and went at them, and they even survived the early hit. Thunder go up early in this game, and it's like, uh-oh, might be done here. And then they just come back, and they absolutely destroy them. A 30-point flip in terms of what this game looked like from early on until halftime. Their intensity level, they changed some of their stuff. Caitlin Cooper, as always, had some really good stuff on this about how they didn't pick them up as high up, so they played under. They are not over helping, which is forcing OKC, and they're getting so comfortable with how OKC's offense operates that now, the Thunder aren't passing at all, Haize. The Pacers have taken ball movement completely out of OKC, and that, to me, has been the big difference in this one. It's the Pacers' defense deserves a lot of credit.
Yeah, the Pacers overall, that thing we've been talking about all playoffs long for them. They refused to go away. They came out in this game and they responded after being down early, and they took this. They took this game. To say that, if anybody's saying that the Thunder did not want this game or whatever, we'll see what Ryland says. That's crazy to me. Watching this game, the Pacers imposed their will in this game. They wanted this one badly. They wanted it desperately, and they came out there with more fight, better execution, and quite frankly, a better game plan than the OKC Thunder did in this game. And the Pacers have done that a few times in this series. That's why I know we're going to get into Game 7, but Game 7, it's all going to be out on the line, and it's going to be hard to get to bet against the Pacers, regardless of the talent of the Thunder.
How about Tyrese Haliburton? Comes into this game hurt, calf strain, but no minutes restriction. The Pacers seem confident in his ability to play. You could really hardly tell. It hits 3 3-pointers. Was that more Tyrese, or do you think the Thunder failed to attack him enough, particularly when he was on the defensive end of the floor, Haize?
No, I mean, it's a mixture of both, but I think Tyrese just fought through it. I think he understood the moment when he said, even, before he was cleared, if I could walk, I can play. To me, that told me all I needed to know about Tyrese's mindset coming into this game, and he did not disappoint with the way that he performed last night. And I know it's not up to the stats that we're used to seeing from Tyrese, only 5 assists, 1 rebound from him in that game and 14 points. But when you watch this game, he gave it all out on the floor.
I want to be careful. I will just say this. Adrian Wojnarowski would not have reported that a player was basically about to have his leg amputated if he would wound up playing. That would not have happened. Tyrese Haliburton, I think, played through a lot. I think he dealt, he did the stuff that you got to do. He got treatment for 48 hours. And this is the kind of thing, is just like, you do not know how the human body is going to react. And you don't know what a player situation is unless you're in that training room and you're a professional. And we just leap a lot to try to assume that we know how this is going to go. And we've seen it now with Aaron Gordon, and we've seen it with Tyrese Haliburton. I was trying to be let's be cautious a little bit here. We don't know. I operate a betting show, and everybody was like, oh, come on, Tyrese, he's not gonna be able to go. Come on. And I was like, we don't know. But I do think what's cool about it, if they win this series, and even if they don't, if they win this series, though, Doug, it's like Tyrese has the game winner in Game 1, and he has this moment in Game 6 where it's like, man, on a bad calf, that guy came in, played, led the team, helped them get to this point where they had such a big lead that he didn't even have to play in that fourth quarter. Tyrese is the hero of the playoffs.
As mentioned by Tony East, SGA, 8 turnovers in this game. Seemed like, particularly in the first half, he was dribbling himself into trouble a lot. You heard Tony East there describe the defensive adjustments that they made to make swipes at them when they got closer to the rim. Do you feel like, Matt, that Shai was trying to win finals MVP and forgot to try to win a finals?
I think that he's exhausted. I think that the Game 6 is where most adjustments are kind of out, but the Pacers have one more round of adjustments in them, and we're able to do things that really confused him. And this is the big thing. This is why they always talk about, coaches constantly talk about wanting to give a guy different looks. They've guarded him one way for the majority of the series. And then in Game 6, they were like, what if we guarded you entirely different? How you like that? And he was he looked a little hesitant. And when he was driving and he was getting stuff, it was all contested. And this is the risk of when you're relying on contested shots. They did not have enough off-ball action. And the biggest thing is they do not have good enough screen actions to create separation. The big question with the Thunder is always their half-court offense. And the Pacers were able to keep them out of transition, which meant they came down to half-court offense versus half-court offense. And that's a big advantage to Indiana.
Haize, do you want to see SGA and J-Dub pass more and pass earlier in Game 7?
Yeah, I think they're going to need to. I think they're going to need that to keep the Pacers defense honest, because if they try to do what they've been doing, I think the Pacers have an answer to it. I won't say the answer like it's the unequivocal answer, but they have an answer for that. They know how to respond to that, and that's going to help get them out in transition, keep them from setting up as a half-court team, because to Matt's point, if this turns into a battle of the half-court, that plays into the Pacers' hand every single way you could imagine.
All right, coming up on Locked On NBA, we will continue to preview Game 7 of the NBA Finals. We'll hear both from Locked On Thunder's Rylan Stiles, and we'll hear about the supporting cast for the Oklahoma City Thunder and how they didn't step up in that Game 6 from Locked On NBA Game Night. And later in the show, we're going to talk a little bit of NBA draft. It's next week, just days away. Is it going to be a chaotic draft, or is it going to be a chalk draft? We'll get the opinions from Matt and Haize on the other side. Today's episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by Car Gurus. Shopping for a car should be exciting. I mean, you're getting a car and not exhausting. But with confusing prices and hidden fees, the process can feel overwhelming. That's why I trust Car Gurus. They cut through the noise and help you find the best deals with confidence. Car Gurus has more new and used cars than any other major online marketplace in the U.S. with over 4 million listings. They verify dealers, analyze real prices, and they give you the data that you're going to need to make smart, pressure-free decisions. Need a deal you can trust? Car Gurus lets you compare vehicles side by side with unbiased deal ratings and my favorite feature, the price drop alerts, so that you know exactly when the perfect car hits your budget. Plus, their detailed vehicle info gives you peace of mind before you ever set foot on the lot. It's no wonder that SimilarWeb data shows Car Gurus is the #1 most visited car shopping site. Buy or sell your next car today at cargurus.com. That's CARGURUS.com, cargurus.com. More Locked On NBA ahead. Thanks for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. Locked On Thunder's Rylan Stiles wondered aloud on the latest episode of Locked On Thunder if both SGA and Jalen Williams lost faith in the supporting cast after they missed several shots to open the game. And then you had this take from Jake Madison and John Corrales on Locked On NBA Game Night. Take a listen.
You need something from Chet. You just got to get something from Chet. And J-Dub minus
40.
minus 40.
What? 4 points for Chet Holmgren is not going to work. And it's not even that. Like, he was not good rebounding in this game either. I don't know what it was. He looked passive. He looked like he has 5 defensive rebounds in this game. And basically all 5 of those went right to him. You did not see him boxing people out. You did not see him fighting for position. You did not see him doing any of the things that a 7-foot dude needs to be doing.
So 4 points total for Chet, 6 rebounds, last in game score among his Thunder teammates. Very reminiscent of game 1 of the NBA Finals. Haize, what does it mean that Chet Holmgren has sort of spiritually disappeared for multiple games in these finals?
I mean, it means that it just makes it easier for the Pacers. Like I get it. Shai and Jalen are so important to the Thunder, but like you need that next guy. Chet is somebody who keeps defenses honest. So when you have a Chet that's checked out, that's not giving the impact that you've typically come to expect from Chet, it just makes everything easier for the Pacers, especially with Pascal Siakam playing with the heart that he's playing with, and you still have Miles Turner there as well. Like, you need everybody to be locked in, especially going into Game 7, because I can guarantee you this: the Pacers players are going to be locked in, so they need to have Chet as well as everybody else prepared and ready to go for Game 7.
I don't know how much oxygen there is for Chet here. Like, I just don't know how much room there is for him to really be able to contribute, given where he's at in his skill development and how the offense is run and where he's kind of at. Like, you know, Chet, I get it, 2 of 9 is bad, but a lot of these are on the interior contested stuff. 3 of them are threes, though. Like, he's, 2 of 6, not good, but a little bit better on the interior. He doesn't have a 3-point shot kind of set. The biggest thing is just like, he's going to be a very different and better player over the next couple of years. But this is one of the things where it's young. It's like, what does Chet Holmgren need? He needs like 3 more years to get his body bigger, set better screens, and have a more well-rounded, efficient offensive game. You're going to need, I think, the other guys to contribute here. You need especially your other on-ball guys, rather, Alex Caruso, Cason Wallace, Isaiah Joe. You need those guys to be able to give you something. The bench differential in this game was massive. It was huge. And that, to me, that can't happen if you're OKC. You can't let, Obi Toppin comes in and gets 20. That's a problem. They got to do it better. They're going to have to change up and actually guard Obi Toppin at some point. If you really want to know what Chet Holmgren needs to do, he needs to probably close out on Obi Toppin a little bit more.
All right, Chet may need 3 years, but he's got about 2 days to figure it out. Let's continue to look ahead to Game 7 on Sunday. This has been a series full of adjustments and of really getting up after getting knocked down, which, according to Rylan Stiles on Locked On Thunder, means advantage OKC.
One thing that they can't get back now with this missed opportunity is the ability to show that you can recreate a sense of artificial desperation, artificial urgency. Because we've said it on this show, the Thunder are excellent at responding when they get hit in the mouth. This team's only lost consecutive games twice all season. And those 2 times, once when they didn't have a center, and once whenever they had the 1 seed wrapped up. That's it. That's the entire list of consecutive losses for Oklahoma City. They've been excellent at responding to losses in the postseason with, again, not losing 2 straight games, with washing out bad games and flushing them with great ones the next outing. And they're going to have to do it again in Game 7.
So home court advantage, one of the stories in this whole playoffs is that home court advantage hasn't meant a lot. We've seen several of these series where the away team has been able to steal games. So maybe the Thunder have a hit-in-the-mouth advantage instead of a home court advantage. Will that be a factor in Game 7? Matt, what's going to be the final factor that you think decides this series ultimately in Game 7?
First off, I love Rylan Stiles. He's great. You should check out Locked On Thunder. He does a great job, but he's basically
hold on. I love when you preface. You've said this. You've done this multiple times. You preface it and then you hit Rylan Stiles with a 2x4. Go ahead.
Yep, that's how we get people over there, Doug. That's the trick. Okay, but Rylan's entire episode that I listened to this morning was basically like, yeah, the Thunder just didn't try hard enough. They got to learn to just try hard when they're up. It's a shame, but sometimes you got to try hard all the time. That game, the Pacers took it to them, man. You got to give the Pacers enough credit here for what they did. This OKC offense is not enough of a juggernaut. This is I think one of the problems is the OKC defense is magnificent. It's incredible. It's awesome. But we are finding out. I said coming in, I was like, I used to think that you could control your turnovers, and now I don't think so because the Thunder always force them. Nope. Pacers are not letting you force turnovers. And if you don't do that, all of a sudden you look pedestrian. And that's the formula for Indiana in this Game 7, Haize, is don't turn the ball over, make your shots. That's it. Don't turn the ball over, make your shots. If there is one team I have confidence in going in and winning a Game 7 on the road, no matter the situation, the round, the stakes, whatever, put it on top of a volcano, is the Indiana Pacers. So I think this is a very dangerous spot for OKC.
They are in a very dangerous spot. The Pacers are that team that they refuse to go away. And so the Thunder are in a unique situation where I feel like the Pacers can come into this game and play more free. It is what it is. If they lose to the Thunder, that people are going to say, well, the Thunder were the better team. Look at what they did. Tyrese Haliburton was hurt. But the Thunder are going to come into this game and they have to very tight rope that they need to walk here because, as we pointed out, if you're forced to be a half-court team, that plays into the Pacers' hands. If your depth doesn't play well, that plays into the Pacers' hand. If your shooting doesn't go well, that plays into the Pacers' hands. Not to say that the Pacers are should be favored over the Thunder, and I know I'm making it seem that way, but it's just that the Thunder execute and do what they do so well in so many different ways. They are fine adapting to whatever you give them and living in that area until they need to take off. And because of that, I have a lot of confidence coming into Game 7.
Matt, you watched the Thunder win a Game 7 against the Denver Nuggets. You watched it closely. Do you take anything from that game and factor it into what we might see on Sunday?
Yeah, I think the real key for OKC is to have Pascal Siakam have a hamstring strain, and then if they can get Andrew Nembhard or Aaron Nesmith to have a sprained shoulder and not be able to lift his shoulder over his head, they're going to be in great shape to win this game. No, there's no comparison. That Nuggets team wasn't half the team that this Pacers team is. I've been yelling about this constantly. Look, I don't even blame the Thunder. The Nuggets just really did pull out some absolute veteran voodoo in that series, but the Pacers are a different type of magic. And to me, this is a very different situation. And you can't rely too much on, we won the last Game 7 by 40. Well, we fought. You do that, and they're going to sneak up on you. And all of a sudden, and that I think is a really important part of this. Unlike Denver, if Indiana is hey, it's an 11-point game going into the fourth, Thunder on the verge, watch out. Because if the Pacers can just keep contact, they're going to be in position to steal this thing. Maybe the Thunder blow them out exactly like Game 7. The series has gone win-loss. I don't feel like the flow of it, but win-loss has been exactly like that Denver series. So it's reasonable to expect a blowout by the Thunder in Game 7. I just do not think the situations are comparable because I think this Pacers team is a lot better than Denver was.
Speaking of sneaking up on you, Haize, TJ McConnell. I feel like it's not the biggest factor in this series for the Pacers. Halliburton's put on some displays. Pascal Siakam, Obi Toppin's hit some huge shots. But TJ McConnell steals. I just feel like OKC is stunned by it. They don't even know what to do. And with his ability to get downhill, they don't know what to do with TJ McConnell. It's hey, he's doing our thing. What do they do about TJ McConnell in Game 7? I can't believe I'm saying that.
Yeah, but hope that Rick Carlisle takes him out the game early like he did in Game 5. That's really all you can do. TJ McConnell has played so good in this series. And I mean, of course, you want a game plan for him, but I don't know how you can find a way. He's so active, and what he does is just so within the flow of the game that I don't know how. Like you're not gonna focus in a lot on just keeping TJ McConnell from bothering you because you have other players that you need to focus on the defensive side of the ball. You're not going to completely avoid him when he's playing defense when you're on offense. So I really think they're just going to have to hope for an off night from TJ McConnell or that Rick Carlisle kind of forgets to put him in the game again. That's going to be the two things there.
Not that I'm recommending it, but at FanDuel, TJ McConnell's 110-1 to win Finals MVP. I just wanted to put that one out there.
It's not as crazy as it sounds. I don't think it's as crazy as it sounds. All right, coming up on Locked On NBA, we are going to get to some NBA draft talk, but I have one final question before we get into Game 7. This has been a hell of a series, particularly for people who love defense and love sort of getting into the weeds about basketball strategy. But if we're honest with ourselves, have we missed a super duper star like LeBron James taking over a series, taking over a fourth quarter? I'll ask Matt and Haize that on the other side. Locked On NBA. Today's episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by Wayfair. There is nothing like stepping into your own outdoor space and feeling like you've escaped to a personal oasis. If you are waiting and wanting to update your patio this season, don't wait any longer. Wayfair has made it so easy to turn it into a space that feels like yours, comfortable, stylish, and ready for summer. Wayfair has everything you need to level up your outdoor space: conversation sets, outdoor bars, fire pits, hot tubs, gazebos, and yes, even the perfect string lights to really set that vibe. It's like giving your backyard that resort feel without the resort price tag. I'm in the middle of giving my front porch a refresh. I'm not in love with having to pick everything individually. I have a style. I like it clean. I like it modern. So I loved being able to filter and find exactly what fit my space and my budget. Wayfair made it super easy. Don't wait. Make your outdoor space your dream oasis today with Wayfair and enjoy it all summer long. Head to wayfair.com right now. Shop a huge outdoor selection. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. More Locked On NBA ahead. Thanks again for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. In a little over 30 years, this will only be our fifth Game 7 in the finals. Game 7s, they're exciting, no question. One game, winner take all. Both teams fighting off a season's worth of fatigue and adjustments. Very cool. But I wonder, as great as this basketball has been, particularly if you love defense, in your heart of hearts, Matt, have you missed a LeBron, Jokic level, super duper star talent taking over a fourth quarter in one of these games, taking over an entire series to win a championship? Because I'm not sure we've really seen that.
No, because I love the NBA. I don't just love the top superstars and want them to continue to stay at the top. A lot of this is about oxygen. How much oxygen is there in the room for us to talk about with the league? And LeBron and Steph have taken up all the oxygen over the past 15 years. And I am ready for a breath of fresh air. I've been breathing in the same oxygen over and over and over again. This is a Tyrese Haliburton season, playoff series. We're going to talk about this. Remember that Haliburton run with all those game winners? This is a Shai season. If they win this game, he's going to be the first player since LeBron in 2013 to win MVP and Finals MVP. The list of that is exceptionally small, and he's making a name for himself. He's had all these moments when it's like they've been down and he's come up clutch, like Game 4. Like, we're making new superstars. People finally are learning who the hell Pascal Siakam is, which they should have known already. He's already a champ. We're learning how good Obi Toppin is. We're learning how good Jalen Williams is. We're recognizing how great Rick Carlisle is. And we're seeing how much basketball matters in Indiana. These finals have been terrific, and they've been a breath of fresh air in what has been a stale product in the NBA for a long time.
So, Matt, I think you're right in that we're seeing the makings of superstars in some of these players. But, Haize, I'm not sure that we have obvious superstar play in this series. And that's what I really mean. Less so missing LeBron, the actual person, or Nikola Jokic, the actual person in the finals, and more just missing that obvious element of this guy is absolutely taking over and there's no way the other team's going to win.
No, I haven't missed it at all. I think this has been some of the best finals basketball that I've seen in a while. I think that, despite seeing somebody take over the game, like the runs that these teams have been on, the battles that these teams, the battles within the game that these teams have been on quarter to quarter, things like that has been way more exhilarating to me than seeing a player take over. And maybe that's just because we've seen so much of it lately. Like this feels refreshing to me. This feels like when I used to watch the finals growing up. That's what this feels like to me. So no, I haven't missed the superstar aspect of it at all.
We used to really talk about like who's got the best player in the series and who's the biggest star in the series, and the best player wins the series. And now you got to have the best 5-man lineup, because basketball is a team sport. And I don't think it's ever in the NBA, it hasn't been this much of a team sport in decades. You got to have the best 5-man lineup. We're not seeing superstar individual performances, but we are seeing superstar play by these 5-man lineups.
And I've loved it. I'm just saying, there's a little part of me that misses just watching LeBron or someone reel off 15 straight and really take over a game. And maybe we'll see it in Game 7. Maybe SGA does that. Maybe Haliburton does that. Maybe Pascal Siakam does it. Maybe TJ McConnell does it and wins NBA MVP, Finals MVP. Who knows? As the Pacers and Thunder work to put a final bow on the present NBA season, the rest of the league is scrambling to decide what their future looks like in the NBA draft. Haize, do you feel like this is going to be a chaos draft, or do you feel like it's going to be a chalk draft? How confident are you in what you know about how the first round is going to shake out?
This ain't going to be no chalk draft. There you go on that one. Not by any stretch of the imagination. This is going to be crazy between teams looking to trade their picks for stars, teams looking to trade up, trade down, consolidate picks. There's a lot of teams with multiple picks that they're looking to consolidate. I think this is going to be a draft. It may stay chalk, maybe through the top 3, maybe. And that's even in question now with what's going on with Ace Bailey. But I think after 5 or 6, you're going to see a lot of movement for the rest of the draft.
Why is that, Matt? I thought this was a strong draft full of players that teams would want. Why do you think it's going to be chaos? You were shaking your head as well.
Yeah, so I mean, one, I don't know that everybody, like, the players are really considering where they're going to go, right? Like, we'll talk about the Ace Bailey situation. I'm not sure that Dylan Harper is thrilled about the San Antonio thing. They're probably going to take him. But like the Castle Harper thing is a real question in some people's minds. As a sign of like how crazy and how nonsensical this time of year gets, a person that works in draft consultant for teams told me this. He said that one team is convinced the Sixers are telling everyone that they want VJ Edgecombe to get Charlotte to move up to get him. But at the same time, they're convinced Charlotte doesn't actually want VJ Edgecombe, that they're saying that to get Washington to move up to get him. So the Sixers are saying that they want the player that the Charlotte wants, that Charlotte's saying they want because Washington wants him. It's great. There's no way to tell who's going to go. To me, it's Cooper Flagg. And that's the only thing I'm willing to tell you is a lock. And even that is like, can Nico Harrison break out of the closet? That's the question.
This feels like we're getting into like burn after reading territory, like the end of the movie. The guy's just like, well, what did we learn here? Don't do that again. Like it's just everybody's just confusing themselves and getting into some circular logic. Well, what has been confusing as well has been Ace Bailey. Haize, you mentioned it, the projected lottery pick out of Rutgers, making more headlines in the lead up to this draft. His agent, Omar Cooper, is coming under scrutiny after Bailey canceled an interview with the Philadelphia 76ers. Here's Locked On 76ers host Mark Farzetta on his concern with drafting Bailey.
If it's isolated and you're just talking about talent and potential, then there's no doubt that I still want Ace Bailey. However, the red flag for me is it's not just about winning. It's about winning my way. And it's not about winning. It's about being a star. Not coming to Philadelphia to go somewhere else where he could be the biggest fish in a small pond like Utah, for instance. That, to me, it doesn't have the appeal of somebody that I want on my team that really wants to be a superstar that wins in the NBA. It shows me that what they care about more, my numbers, my stats, winning is secondary to all of that. And that is, as far as I'm concerned, Keith, is the biggest possible red flag a prospect can have.
Keith Pompey, co-host and beat writer for the Philadelphia Inquirer, did not feel the same way. So go check out that debate on Locked On 76ers. It was a good one. Bailey hasn't worked out for any team leading up to the draft, despite being a top 5 projected pick. There are reports that his agent has also asked for compensation for on-camera interviews with Bailey. Haize, is he getting bad advice, and how much should that matter to a team that's picking in the top 5 or top 10 when it comes to Ace Bailey?
I do think he's getting bad advice. I do think he has people around him that are leading him in the direction. Not to completely remove him responsibility. He's still responsible for himself, but I do think this feels like he's getting some bad advice for some people that he trusts. How much should teams be worried about it? I think a lot. I think a lot. If a player's showing this much before they even take an NBA court, and if their agent or whoever else is around him is influencing them this much, it would cause me a little bit of sign for concern. Now, he still has tremendous talent. The upside of Ace Bailey may be worth to take it, and you just try to figure it out and hope that your team culture and all that is going to be able to help him develop in the way that he needs to. But it's huge red flags that you just shouldn't have to be dealing with, not at this level before the draft, before you draft a player.
There's a ton here. Sam Vecini, rave over at Locked On NBA Draft. Raphael, both those guys have said, like, Ace is a good kid. Everybody thinks that he's like just a goofy, happy young kid. It's pretty clear that he's got bad management, and eventually that will probably that will change as he gets better advice and gets older. This is bad management. I don't think there's any way to kind of avoid talking about that. Like, they're not doing the kid any favors, but it's not a problem with Ace specifically. I can make an argument any way that you want for him going top 3. I can make an argument for him falling out of 10, because there are multiple teams that I've heard the phrase is literally hope he's not there so they don't have to make the call, because he is that talented, but he comes with all these kind of red flags, and he comes with all these concerns about what type of player he's going to be. It's not just like this stuff with the canceling workouts. It's his approach. It's like he wants to be a star scorer instead of a guy that like does the other stuff, which is why everybody's like, ooh, VJ Edgecombe. Like, that's where this kind of comes from. The question is, okay, if he gets to 5, are the Jazz really going to be like, nah, we're good? Or do they just have to take the best player available? If he gets to 7, if he gets to 8, if he gets to 8 and the Nets are there with where their team is at, don't they just have to take Ace Bailey and then have him and I guess Cam Thomas break a pool stick and decide who's going to get the ball all the time? Like, there's a ton of questions here. I think it's possible Ace falls out of the top 10. I think it's possible Ace goes very high, very, very high in this draft. So everything is kind of open, because it's impossible to separate the context of what he's projecting with what kind of talent he is.
Yeah, nuance alert. I find these conversations difficult, because part of me says, there's part of me that exists that says, like, yeah, just like get on the floor, like get to a team, get drafted as high as possible, and go figure it out. If you're super talented, it will figure itself out. But I know that there's situations like Jonathan Kuminga in Golden State where it wasn't a fit and he wasn't able to get early playing time. And people have looked at that situation and said, yeah, that might have impacted him developmentally early in his career. And now, it's this weird situation of do they keep him or not? So fit and situation do really matter in this league. Do you find that conversation difficult as well, Matt?
I do, because the money is the thing here, right? If you go to a team where you're slotted in to do what you're good at, that's the shortest path between A and B, with A as being drafted and B as a max contract.
Yeah.
They loved you as a prospect. You came in, you scored a bunch of points. They gave you a max extension, and you're on your way to your max earnings in your career. On the other end of this, you mentioned like Kuminga, and the thing is just like be a player that fits in multiple situations. This is something the Thunder talk about. They're in the finals. They talk about this all the time. They want players that can succeed in any situation that they're put in. You have to be able to mold your game to what your coach and your team needs. You walk in, most of these teams you walk into, you are not the best player anymore. That's how this works in the NBA. And it seems like Ace wants to walk into a situation where he is the best player on the team. But the problem is, like, look, maybe the Wizards, who I haven't heard are interested, and maybe the Nets, he's not better than LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller. He's not going to be better than a lot of these other guys. He's not going to be better than Lauri Markkanen. So, like, you're going to have to mold a little bit. You're not going to get everything that you want here. I understand sacrificing some of the money for the higher pick. That's actually smart. But it's what you're projecting as your priority, I think, is the issue, and the signal it sends to the teams.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a weird situation to be in. Now, the thing that stood out to me the most, you said, Matt, is that you could see a world where Ace Bailey falls out the top 10.
Oh, now his ears perked up because the Bulls are right outside the top 10.
You know exactly what I'm doing. Self-serving. Come on now. Like, absolutely. That's crazy.
I mean, look, it would take The question is, I haven't heard him on Washington's board. Maybe he is. I've heard like Fears, Edgecombe, those guys are higher. The 8 is in play because the Nets are talking about moving up, moving back, moving for a play. Like all sorts of stuff is on the table here. Pels are the team that have been linked to them a lot, but I've kind of heard that that's a little exaggerated, and they're more likely to go with a center, to the point that a team beyond them that was looking at a center is shifting their attention from Malawash to Queen and Newell because they don't think Malawash is going to be there because the Pels are going to take him, which means that we're hitting the top 10 now. Like the slide, this is the key, is he can go third. If it starts sliding, there's like 3 pressure points that if he misses those, he winds up beyond the top 10.
It will be very interesting to watch, and we've got plenty of coverage. The local shows, they're all covering it. Plus, we've got Locked On NBA Locked On NBA Big Board with Rafael Barlow, and we have a mock draft featuring all of our local hosts on this feed. If you like what you heard today, subscribe to Locked On NBA wherever you get podcasts, including YouTube. Thanks to Matt and Haize for their expertise every day. Thank you for making Locked On NBA your first listen. Enjoy our beautiful game this weekend. Be kind to each other, and we'll see you right back here next week on Locked On NBA.